The Carson Wentz experiment is officially over in Indianapolis. The Colts have traded Carson Wentz to the Washington Commanders. And this is a big issue that I've stressed in the past. I made a video talking about Carson Wentz and how he's just not the same player. He's not a very good decision maker. And I got a lot of hate and a lot of backlash for it. But look, I guess I was right? And it has nothing to do, it's not that I don't think Carson Wentz isn't a great quarterback. His decision making has really been affected. And it's always been something that he's never really improved on. He was a great quarterback. He has a great arm. He has a lot of things that you want from your quarterback. But the issue is he's not somebody that can close out games. He's not somebody that you trust towards the end of games. And it's not saying that he's never had a game-winning drive or that he's never been able to make a good decision. No, but he's shown a repeated pattern that is not good from a quarterback that you want to win a Super Bowl with and to be your franchise. Like, you saw that when he was with the Eagles, right? And there was all the hype and Super Bowl discussions, and the same thing happened with the Colts. That he has this pressure of being that guy to lead his team on a charge to win a Super Bowl. And with Philadelphia, he just couldn't do so. And then injuries took place, and that really affected him. And he hasn't been able to truly stay healthy. And then when he got with the Colts, it was the same pressure, maybe even further, because the Colts have on paper a team that seems ready to go to the next step. They just believed they needed a quarterback that could lead them there. And so now the big question with the Colts is, who are they going to get? Right now, the big rumor is Jimmy Garoppolo. We'll see what develops with that, which I think would make a lot of sense for the Colts. It's a quarterback that, does just enough. He's not going to do anything too crazy. He's not going to go and try to take major risks. And that was the problem with Wentz. We saw time and time again this past season, him just turning plays that should have been non-successful by taking risks and chances and sort of using that big arm to his advantage. And that's a common thing with quarterbacks that have that. They just think, I'm just going to throw it up there. We're just going to make something happen. My receivers will go get it. But you don't have the control that you have with, a 10-yard little dump pass or something along those lines. And we saw that with Nick Foles in Philadelphia. He didn't do anything crazy. People wonder, how is this guy able to do this? But he's never really been anything successful. He's always been a backup. He's always been the guy that, never really came in and took charge. Because when he got in, he didn't try to take risks. He didn't try to do things that he wasn't able and capable of doing. They fit the game plan around him, and he executed it just enough to be successful. There's a lot of factors that go into it as well, especially when winning a Super Bowl. Health, even look at the Bengals. You could argue the Bengals getting to the Super Bowl, a lot of luck took into place. The Titans had the game won. And what happened? Tannehill threw it away, and they win the game. Same thing with the Chiefs. The Chiefs, that game was over at halftime, and the Chiefs blew the game, threw it away. There are things and dominoes that need to fall in order for you to be successful. But you can also put yourself in a position for those dominoes to lead to success. And that's something that Wentz has never been able to do. And we saw it with Philadelphia. Philadelphia was so willing and eager to move off of him for a reason. And then the Colts did it. And look what happened. A year later, boom, they move off of him again. And I don't think he can't be successful. I do. We've seen, quarterbacks of his caliber win Super Bowls. Big Ben is easy comparison, one that really comes to mind. It's one that he was directly compared to coming into the league and as time has progressed. But he just needs to get a proper system that he doesn't have to try to be the hero in. I think that is something that is really big for him. If he can just kind of do his thing, get the throw. If you need the big throw, he can do the big throw. And health. If he can get health and he can stay healthy, I think that'll be really big in his favor, and he'll be able to achieve a lot of things because we've seen the moments of brilliance his whole career. He just hasn't been able to consistently put that together. And I think if he can consistently put that together, he has a team in prime position. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Washington because many people believe they were a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. That look what they did to the Bucs 2 years ago. They have an elite defense. They have some good young cores. They got some good receivers, some tight ends, things like that. They just need a quarterback that can get the job done. And so maybe Wentz being in Washington might actually be the best benefit for him. Because just like in Philadelphia, when he went to the Colts, he had all that pressure, and you could argue even more because of the way that the Eagles and him had that falling out and that big mess. And the Eagles believed that they clearly already won without him, so therefore he wasn't a piece that they truly needed, that they could go without it. And now we see the position the Eagles are in, but the Colts, it was the same thing. I mean, Wentz went there and was very underwhelming. And it's not just my opinion, clearly, because that was the big thing. You know, people tried to say, oh, well, you're just, like, I'm watching the games. I'm seeing what's happening too. And guess what? The Colts clearly agree with me, because the Colts were willing to trade him away for some second and third round picks. They even gave up some picks themselves and cleared his space to go get another quarterback. And that's likely what's going to happen. Whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever it may be, they're going to get somebody to replace Wentz, and they believe that Wentz isn't their guy. Because if they believed Wentz was their guy, guess what? Wentz would still be a Colt, but he's not, because they believe the same thing that I said. But going to Washington, he won't have that same pressure, because right out the gate, nobody's going to say, oh, with Wentz, that's it. This is a Super Bowl contender. They need to win it this year, which there was a lot of that discussion when he went with the Colts, that this is a great team on paper. They've been waiting to take the next step. They have a great front office, great coaching staff, great intangible pieces. They're deep, everything you need to be successful to win a Super Bowl. Well, that isn't really necessarily the case with Washington. And I'm not saying that Washington can't win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that they don't have the pieces to win the Super Bowl. I'm saying that perception isn't there. And part of that with Wentz isn't there anymore either. So this is probably the best fresh start he could have. Where if he went to, say, he was traded in a swap for Jimmy Garoppolo, immediately he needs to win a Super Bowl. He needs to deliver. You know, there's a lot of pressure on him that he just hasn't been able to overcome at this point. And being on a team that many people don't really think of as a contender or as somebody that's going to do anything, he may be able to truly shine. He may be able to be successful. I mean, Heineke was successful, and Carson Wentz is much better than he is, in my opinion. And so if he's put in the right position to be successful and lead a charge, I think it's a very real possibility. Plus, the division isn't that great. I mean, the Cowboys is yet to be seen. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Cowboys. The Eagles, I'm still not really sold on, and then the Cowboys, they were successful this year, but I mean, there's a lot of questions of like, was that just a good year for them, or is that something that can be picked up on for success? I mean, they had a lot of expectations and they fell flat, and that's the big question is like, was it just a nice run? Because the last several years hasn't been great for them, and then you get this year and it looks like things are going great, and then they just really underwhelm. So, I mean, I don't think Washington I think Washington's in an excellent spot to potentially win that division and then put themselves in a position to where, hey, if the chips fall, we might be there. We might make it. We might get that opportunity. And it just is going to come down to, can they put Wentz in a winning position? And that's my biggest thing, is that he has to be healthy. He has to make better decisions, because in my opinion, that's been his biggest fault. He doesn't make good decisions when they count. And a lot of quarterbacks make terrible decisions. I mean, that's part of being a quarterback. And I'm not talking so much about throwing interceptions or anything like that. That's part of the game. It's going to happen. But there's a difference between just a bad throw or just, the miscommunication, or it just got a weird bounce and somebody caught it, and you trying to do too much and you're not that guy to do so. You need to understand what you're capable of and what kind of quarterback you are. All the quarterbacks that have been successful have been able to do that. I mean, Tom Brady, he knew from day one what he was, the kind of quarterback he was, what he was able to do and not do. And Bill Belichick built his entire legacy and dynasty around that. And we've seen that with other quarterbacks. And I think Carson Wentz has an opportunity not to build a dynasty, but could change his narrative and change his conversation. But we'll see what develops. As always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'd love to hear your opinions on either side. Are you excited for Wentz to be a Commander now? That's still kind of taking a while to get used to. I don't even know if I really like the name, to be honest, but nonetheless, and I'd love to hear people, if anyone's watching this that is a Washington Commander fan, do you think that this puts you in a good position, or do you think, nah, not so much? We'll see how it develops. I'd love to hear some perspectives. But if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button, follow the bell notification, stay up to date with all things sports. I'll see you all in the next one.